What's up, Forward family? It's FortWorthFabian, BigBossFabo, back with a video for the family. I'm doing a reaction to Nightmare Files. First time I've done a reaction to Nightmare Files in a very long time. He's a horror, criminology, true crime narrator, content creator on the platform. Be sure to check out his channel, link provided in the description down below to the original video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow me on Instagram, Twitter at FortWorthFabian. It's the road to 1,000,000 subscribers. This video is called He Changed Them Up in the House for Over 10 Years with Footage and 911 Calls. Man, I definitely like content creators who are able to gather additional information, additional footage, recordings in order to kind of put the audience within the mind frame and the mindset of the story, kind of further help them understand the different depths associated with the story. So if you like these videos, man, comment down below, like, comment, subscribe. Definitely put down in the comment section below additional reactions or content creators you guys definitely want me to look into it, pertaining to this type of this field, right? I do a lot of different reactions on the channel, so check out the playlist page where you can see all the different reactions in the playlist I have organized, so check out that library I have. Just engage with the content, man. That only help me that much more on the platform. So like the videos, comment, share them, and definitely subscribe. Turn on notifications so you're notified about every time I post. So let's hop into the video. Shout out to Jason Comstock for subscribing to the channel.
This was her for the first.
Become part of the Fort Worth family. Like the video.
On May 6, 2013, a woman's voice was heard for the first time after 10 years through a 911 call. This story is about a man who kidnapped 3 women and held them captive in his house. This was an evil man, and these women didn't deserve what happened to them. He did some of the most evil acts you can think of. But let me pose a question. Have you ever trusted somebody and they broke that trust? And if so, leave it in the comments section and I promise I'll reply to it. But this is the story about Michelle.
Comment down there below as well. Who's broken y'all's trust, and kind of like how did y'all position them, or how did y'all navigate the relationship between y'all, at that point after the fact?
Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, Gina Dejesus, in the Cleveland House of Horrors.
They made this like a whole movie intro.
The whole house was boarded. Closet doors nailed to the front windows. Everything was dark and secure. The man behind this house of horrors is Ariel Castro. Ariel Castro was a local school bus driver who had occasional barbecues for his friends, family, and neighbors.
That nigga weird.
On the outside, he came across as normal. But as said by one of his band members, his personality was weird sometimes. One moment, he'll be joking around with you, and the next moment, he'll be angry with the whole band for no reason. Ariel Castro had kids with his ex-wife, but the relationship between him and his ex-wife was horrible. He was extremely violent with her. Per police reports, he had thrown her down the stairs, broken her ribs, and cracked her skull.
Dang.
This pattern of misconduct continued throughout the years. Michelle Knight had a terrible childhood. At times, her family lived in their car and often traveled from place to place. In her house, when they moved to the west side of Cleveland, they would make hot dogs on their space.
So is this before or after the kidnapping? Because I'm assuming she's one of the victims, right?
Space heater for hours. It would take 4 hours just to make a hot dog. She had younger siblings and pretty much raised them. She even delivered one of her siblings.
Bruh, did I hear that correctly?
Dogs on. In her house, when they moved to the west side of Cleveland, they would make hot dogs on their space heater for hours. It would take 4 hours just to make a hot dog. She had younger siblings and pretty much raised them. She even delivered one of her siblings. Growing up, Michelle was a victim of abuse, which made her feel neglected. At one point, when she was 14, Michelle felt safer on the streets than she did at home, so she ran away. Michelle slept under a park bench and lived in a dumpster. A few times a week, Michelle would go to Fellowship Missionary Baptist Church nearby, sitting.
Hey man, that's a sad reality, man. My heart goes out to all the kids out there who have, more fear being at home than being out late at night. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just not how the home dynamic should work. The family dynamic should work. Your home should be a safe haven, right? I mean, parents who aren't giving or granting their children that, man, y'all doing a big disservice to those kids, and shame on y'all, bro.
In the back and sing along with the choir. Every day at 2 p.m., the church would have a meal service where Michelle would receive food. But one day while eating, one of her family members saw her and called her father. Her father went to the church, picked her up, and took her home. After that, she attended Lincoln West High School, where she was constantly picked on due to her personality and her short stature. She was 4'2". It was a very difficult time for her, and it was very difficult for her to make friends until she met an older boy at school. Eventually, that boy got her pregnant. That gave Michelle purpose. She wanted to be a better mother to her child than her mother was to her. So one day, she went looking for a job and left her child with her mother and her mother's boyfriend. Michelle returned home and her mother wasn't there, but the boyfriend was there, and the boyfriend was drunk. The mother's boyfriend grabbed Michelle's son by his leg, injuring him. Michelle takes her son to the hospital, and eventually CPS took her son, which is Child Protective Services.
Dang.
Fast forward some months, on August 23rd, 2002, Michelle was on her way to a case management meeting, but she was lost. Her mother was supposed to take her where she was supposed to receive her son back. She walks into a dollar store asking for directions. She asked the clerk, but the clerk couldn't help her. But that's when Ariel Castro intervened. He let her know that he can take her and he'll get her there within 5 to 10 minutes, because it'll be about a 40-minute walk for her, and she had to be there within 15 minutes. Ariel Castro was the father of one of Michelle's friends, so she was comfortable with him. During the drive, Ariel Castro mentioned how his dog just had puppies, and that she can take one home, and that his daughter was at the house. Michelle showed interest in the puppies and seeing her friend. They went into his house. As they entered the house,
I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. These homes in Cleveland look weird. They be looking weird. This look like the block, but hey, bro, this look like if you were to picture a house that a person will be held captive in for over 10 years. These homes right here, bro. Like it fit the mold.
They went through the back door and she waved at the next door neighbors. Once she entered the house, she noticed that the windows were boarded up and no one was able to see inside. She also notices that she can't hear the puppies. He tells her that the puppies and his daughter were upstairs, so they go upstairs.
That boy lying.
As they're going up the stairs, you have to turn right. As they turn right, she gets to the top of the stairs and he points at a room. As they're getting closer to the room, she starts to think that something was wrong because she still doesn't hear anything. He told her the puppies were sleeping. She enters the room and he follows. Once they entered the room, he closed and he locked the door. He immediately tells Michelle that she would never leave this house again. Michelle drops to the floor begging for him to let her leave. He takes her wallet from her and takes a picture of her son out. Ariel then takes the picture of her son, rips it up, and tells her that she would never see her son again. That was the only picture that she had of him. At that point, he tells her that if she screams, that will be the last thing she ever does. He proceeds to tie her up with an extension cord, an orange extension cord around her ankles, wrist, and neck. He then put the sock in her mouth and hung her up to a contraption, and he left her there
for
2 weeks. If you don't know what I mean, her wrist and her ankles were tied together while she was facing the floor, and she was halfway between the floor and the ceiling.
Hell no.
During that time, he would occasionally feed her and give her water. So after the 2 weeks, he took her to the basement, where she was tied to a pole in the middle of the basement for weeks with a...
This remind me of that movie Don't Breathe. And honestly, that was the movie I was going to reference in terms of I don't know, that was probably in Cleveland or somewhere in Ohio. I don't know where it was. But the houses resemble that movie and that film a lot. And a lot of this story resembles that movie and that film a lot. You know, a military vet. He was more so trying to procreate with women. I mean, you know, but he had like a kidnapped woman in his basement. She was hung up in all type of weird ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, uh, but with that being said, I feel like a lot of the homes in the Midwest look alike. Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit, everything up there is gonna look alike. I don't know.
A motorcycle helmet on her head, so she could never tell what time of the day it was because the visor was over her eyes. Castro would do things to her that only a sick individual would do, over and over and over. And to mask her screams, he would often leave a radio on very loud throughout the day. Michelle states that, whenever he would do anything to me, I had to put my mind in a different place. As Michelle Knight is held captive in Ariel Castro's house, he continues to prowl the streets for his next victim. So one day, Michelle can hear something going on downstairs, but she can tell that he wasn't alone. It was a struggle. There was a girl downstairs yelling for him to get off of her. That person was Amanda Berry.
Amanda Berry?
Using legit ingredients.
She sounds
for
familiar.
A sandwich?
And sliced veggies.
Wait, what's so funny?
High quality ingredients.
That's a problem!
Jimmy
Hey, it's
John's
Ray Romano's
sandwich
brother.
of sandwiches.
Bruh.
This story is
You should have liked the video, man. Comment down below.
extraordinary, especially if it's true.
Amanda Berry started her day, which was the day before her 17th birthday. Her mother told her that she loves her, gave her a kiss while Amanda got ready for work. She almost called off that day only because her birthday was the next day. So Amanda went to work, got off, and she was walking home from Burger King in some bad weather. She saw her friend drive past with her father taking her home. Then all of a sudden, a few minutes later, that same car pulls up. The car stops right next to Amanda and the driver asks if she needs a ride. Unfortunately, she said yes. That driver was Ariel Castro. Amanda
Bruh, why would you say yes? Who says yes to random strangers proposing to offer you a ride nowadays? People don't do that. Like, why is you saying yes?
was friends with his daughter and she worked with her at Burger King. As Amanda gets into the car, Ariel mentions that his daughter was at the house and asks Amanda did she want to see her. Amanda said yes and they drove to his house.
Why?
As they walk into the house,
Hold
Ariel
on. Run that back, bro. It make no sense.
was friends with his daughter and she worked with her at Burger King. As Amanda gets into the car, Ariel mentions that his daughter was at the house and asks Amanda did she want to see her.
I guess.
Amanda said yes and they drove to his house. As they walk into the house, Ariel starts to show Amanda around the house. As he's doing this, he tells her that his daughter, Angie, is in the back, but his roommate is in another room. So as they go upstairs, Amanda looks to her left and she notices that there's a room with the door closed, but she can see through a hole in the door. That door has a hole where a doorknob is supposed to be. She bends over and she looks in there and she notices that a woman is in there sitting on a bed, half clothed, watching TV on an old TV. What she doesn't know is that's Michelle Knight. He then takes Amanda to the room in the back where he said his daughter was, and Amanda noticed that no one was in there, and the room was dark and the windows were boarded up. And then he demanded her to get undressed. After she did that, he took her to the basement, chained her up and put a helmet on her, turned off all the lights and left her there for days while occasionally bringing her food and water. Amanda thought she was going to die. Her family notified police immediately because Amanda was not the type to not call or go home. A week after Amanda was kidnapped, Ariel Castro called her mother, telling her that Amanda will be home in a few days, but Amanda wants to marry him and he loves her. At that time in 2003, technology was not like it is today. It was the first case in the US where a phone was tracked, but it was not a pinpoint position.
Dang.
At first, it was just Amanda Berry and Michelle Knight in separate rooms. Both described their living conditions as disgusting. They were not allowed to leave their rooms or to go to the bathroom, so they used buckets that were barely emptied. Castro controlled every action in that house. They were barely allowed to bathe. If they were allowed to take showers, it was only with him. And then one day, they hear another struggle downstairs. and that was Gina Dejesus.
Dang, he had a whole brothel going on. What the hell? He got 3 girls so far.
Gina Dejesus was a kind and sweet little girl at the time. She loved to dance and skate and was known to impersonate Selena. She grew up on the west side of Cleveland and she was 14 years old. At the time, she was with her friend, and it was Friday afternoon, going into the evening as the 2 girls discussed having a sleepover. Her friend used a payphone to call her mother and asked her if she could spend the night over at Gina's house. Her mother said no. So the 2 friends split up and walked separate ways. While Gina is walking, her friend's father pulls up next to her. Her friend's father is Ariel Castro.
Dang.
Castro asked Gina if she had...
So he knew the neighborhood kids, supposedly, I guess, because his daughter's friends with everybody. But then I'm like, where's his daughter at during this whole time?
seen his daughter, and Gina tells him, yeah, I was just with her. She's around the corner. Then he asks Gina to help him find her. She agrees and she gets into the car because she trusted him. It was her friend's father. She didn't hesitate. While driving, he asks Gina to help him move a speaker in the house, and she agrees. They get to the house, but he begins to act weird by hugging Gina. Gina questions him and tells him that he can get in trouble for that. He tells her that she can go if she wants to. But once he tells her that, Gina begins to walk to the front door because that's where she entered the house. He then tells her that he's superstitious and she can't leave out the same door that she entered. He led her to the door near the back of the house. As she opened the door, he pushed her inside the door. That door led to the basement. When she was in the basement, Ariel Castro chained Gina up and then turned on his music so no one can hear her screaming for help. Gina's family immediately went to the police when she didn't show up at home. But while held in captivity, the girls were allowed to watch TV. Amanda and Gina's families were constantly on the TV, having rallies and begging for their daughters and family members to come home. But there was never any mention of Michelle Knight. Castro hated Michelle Knight because when he first kidnapped her, he thought she was a 13-year-old prostitute, but she was 21 years old. He would always let her know that there was no one looking for her and she doesn't matter to this world. And by coincidence, she was the only one of the three that would constantly fight back. That made Castro punish her all the time. One form of punishment was chaining her to the ceiling. Castro would chain her ankles and wrists to the ceiling with 3-foot-long chains, facing down for 2 days with no food, sometimes longer than that.
Damn.
Sometimes not eating for weeks at a time, while Amanda and Gina received food. Michelle became pregnant 5 times. The Ariel Castro induced her miscarriages 5 times and made it to where she couldn't have kids afterward. Ariel Castro attended the rallies and the search parties for the girls, sometimes consoling the parents and crying with them. After attending the rallies and search parties, he would tell the women, taunting them and laughing at them. The neighborhood went crazy looking for Gina and Amanda. They went missing in damn near the same spot. Initially, he kept them separated and would turn them against each other. When I mean separated is he had Amanda by herself, with Michelle and Gina in the same room. He would tell them lies about each other, telling them that the other one was talking about them. He would have them not talking to each other, and if they were caught talking through the walls, he would punish them by keeping the lights off, no heat in the winter, no AC in the summer, and no food. Every time he left the house, he would lock their doors from the outside. But one day, Castro was on his motorcycle when he saw
They had made a
Gina's
movie about this, or there's just been countless stories retold on this same subject matter. I've seen a Criminal Minds episode on this. I've seen a movie on the same thing like this. You know what I'm saying?
mother outside passing out flyers. He knew her mom because they went to high school together. She asked for him to pass out some of the flyers, and he said yeah, and he did. He also took one home and showed it to Gina. There were times when he would play Russian roulette with Gina, and he would go first. He then hand her the gun, get on his knees to pray, and would tell her that if she loved him, she wouldn't pull the trigger. That would confuse Gina, but she would pull the trigger. He would test the women by leaving the door open on purpose, but he would hide to see if they would take the bait. When Castro had company, he would chain all 3 of them up together on a pole in the basement, telling them to be quiet. So one day, all 3 of his daughters came over with their boyfriends and their kids. because they heard that there were 3 women in the house. So they searched all around the house.
How they know?
He had them hidden in the basement. So when one of his daughters went to the basement door, she went to go open it, but he told her no, she can't go down there because it was under renovation. So nobody searched the basement. So one of Castro's daughters came to stay with him for a weekend, and he took all 3 of the women in a van in his backyard. He put wigs and sunglasses on them, chained them up, and left them in there for days in the middle of the summer without running the van. No AC. That was the first time all 3 of the women were actually together. So this case gained national attention. Amanda Berry's mother was on the Montel Williams show with psychic Sylvia.
This fool was savage about it. And his daughters was coming over, had no idea, no clue. That's crazy. So what was his whole idea with the wigs? Let's put some wigs on. If somebody sees them, they may not recognize them as the missing children or the missing girls.
Sylvia Brown
Smart thinking,
told
buddy.
her that Amanda was dead, and Amanda saw this on TV. 3 years into captivity, Amanda's mother passed away. But a few months after that, she gave birth to a daughter, who was Ariel Castro's. After causing Michelle Knight to have 5 miscarriages, he made her deliver Amanda's baby and threatened to kill her if the baby didn't make it. Throughout the years, Castro would take the girl outside, and Amanda would teach her about life outside of the house. So one day, Castro leaves the house to get all the women McDonald's, but he never locked Amanda's door. Her daughter told her that Daddy's car is gone, and Amanda opens the bedroom door. Amanda goes downstairs, but the front door is locked. Only the screen door, not the main door. She managed to break a piece off the door at the bottom and begins to wave her arms and scream at the people outside. A man begins to intervene, but a woman walks by and tells him to not get involved with that. And that's when a man by the name of Charles Ramsey runs up to the porch with a Big Mac in his hand. He grabs the door to try to open it, but it doesn't budge. He kicks the bottom of the door and tells her to finish kicking it. At the same time, Michelle and Gina can hear the commotion that's going on downstairs. They think that Amanda is getting beat by Castro, so they turn their radio up. As Amanda gets out of the house, she brings her daughter out with her. And these are the 911 calls made by Charles Ramsey and Amanda Berry.
He saved the day.
At Harvard Business School Online,
That boy a
your
superhero.
goals matter to us. Whether you want to pursue an MBA.
Cleveland 911 police, ambulance or fire.
Yeah, hey, bro, I'm at 2207 Seymour, West 25th. Hey, check this out. I just came from McDonald's, right? So I'm on my porch eating my little food, right? This broad is trying to break out the house next door to me. So there's a bunch of people on the street right now. So we like, well, what's wrong with you? What's the problem? She like, this been kidnapped me and my daughter, and we've been in this bitch. She say her name is Linda Berry or I don't know who the that is. I just moved over here, bro.
Sir,
you know what I mean?
Sir, you have to calm down and slow down. Is she still in the street?
Seymour Avenue.
Is she still in the street, or where did she go?
Yeah, I'm looking at her. She right now. She calling y'all. She on another phone.
Is she black, white, or Hispanic?
She white, but the baby look Hispanic.
Okay, what is she wearing?
White tank top, light blue sweatpants. Like a white beater.
Do you know the address next door that she said she was in?
Yeah, 2207. I'm looking at it.
Okay, I thought that was your address. So that house.
No, I'm smarter than that, bro. I'm telling you where the crime was.
Okay, look, sir, we can't talk at the same time. Do you want to leave your name and number? Or remain
Charles Ramsey, R-A-M-S-E-Y.
What's the phone number? Are the people she said that did this, do you know if they still in the
He said, bro, we can't talk at the same time.
house?
I don't have a clue, bro. I just said I came from McDonald's.
Can you ask her if she needs an ambulance?
You need an ambulance? Or what? She needs everything. She's in a panic, bro. I guess she's been kidnapped, so, put yourself in her shoes.
We'll send the police out. Thank you.
There you go.
He said, we'll send the police out. Bruh, he did the most just to say we got people on the way.
Amanda Berry.
You need police, fire, or ambulance.
I'm the police.
Okay, and what's going on there?
I've been kidnapped and I've been missing for 10 years and I'm here. I'm free now.
Okay, and what's your address?
2207 Seymour Avenue.
2207 Seymour.
10 years? Imagine, bro. That's crazy to me. How he had a whole family. His kids were never able to realize that renovations were going on for 10 years in the basement. Oh, don't go down there. We're working on things down there, baby girl. He had a whole family who could have, like, y'all didn't find anything he was doing suspicious. Come on, bro. 10 years? That's crazy. Locked up in the house. You don't ever see daylight.
Looks like you're calling me from 2210. Okay, stay there with those neighbors. Talk to the police when they get there.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, talk to the police when they get there.
Okay, wait now.
We're going to send them as soon as we get a car open.
No, I need them now before we get back.
Said we're gonna send them as soon as we get a car open. This is the law enforcement we need to rely on. Asking 30 questions, don't get help. And then even if we find out you are Amanda Berry, you've been missing for 10 years, we'll get one to you when we get one. Garbage. Trash.
We're sending them, okay?
Okay, I mean, like,
Who's the guy who's the guy who went out?
his name is Ariel Castro. I'm Amanda Berry. I've been on the news for the last 10 years.
Okay, I got that here. I already. Right, the police are on the way. Talk to them when they get there. Okay. I told you they're on the way. Talk to them when they get there. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Within minutes, the cops flooded the street. As the first pair of cops pull up, Amanda runs up to the car. She approached the passenger side window, and the cop looked at his partner as if he was surprised because it was Amanda Berry. They've been looking for her for over 10 years. The officers went into the house, announced who they were, but they didn't hear anyone. They searched the house, and as they began to search upstairs, they noticed that someone was peeking out of the doorway in the darkness, but they wouldn't come out. The female cop shined her flashlight on her patch that said Cleveland Police. And as soon as she did that, that's when Michelle Knight ran out and jumped on the man that was in the front. After Michelle Knight jumped on the police officer, the rest of the cops searched the rest of the upstairs, and they ran into Gina Dejesus. At that point, they were rescued for the first time after 10 years.
That's crazy.
Since the rescue, Ariel Castro received life in prison, plus 1,000 years, but shortly after the sentencing, he took his own life.
But he killed himself. The coward's way out. He got 1,000 years.
Amanda Berry has a job with news station Fox 8 News. Gina Dejesus runs a missing women's shelter, which is next door to the house that was held captive in. And Michelle Knight is now married. This was the story of Ariel Castro, Amanda Berry, Michelle Knight, and Gina Dejesus.
I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran into a black man's arms. Something is wrong here. Dead giveaway.
Everybody else looking for a funny, response or a funny reaction. Buddy in the back looked at the reporter and say, did that make you laugh? Hey, Buddy was first on the scene. He pulled up. He had his Big Mac in hand. He was ready to handle business. And that right there is Nightmare Files. He chained him up in the house for over 10 years. Footage and 911 calls recorded. Shout out to Nightmare Files. This video is supposedly his first time actually revealing his face. We saw his face in the beginning. I always just heard his voice. Never, he's a, like I mentioned, true crime, horror story, all type of narrator. And this is the first time he actually showed his face. So shout out to Nightmare Files. Shout out to all the content creators out there who specialize in this field, man. This stuff, this type of content, true crime stuff, is definitely stuff I enjoy reacting to, stuff I enjoy watching in my own time. So peace, love, prosperity, everybody rocking with the channel. Like, comment, subscribe, hit notification bell, engage with the content, man. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.